Hey y'all. So I am going to give everyone a few minutes to come into the room. Please let me know as you get into the room. I feel like it has been forever. And I have certainly missed you all. So happy Tuesday. And hey y'all to everybody coming into the room. So let me just get set up here. And all right, y'all. So happy Tuesday. Come on into the room. Um, so hey Rager, let me go ahead and start by shouting out my patrons. A special thank you to my VIP patrons. Hey Bruce, hey Edward, hey Kenny, hey Political Pug. But hopefully everybody is doing well. Um, and let's see, before we get started, I want to make sure if you have not gotten your anti-status or your entertainers are not leaders tea, you should do that, okay? That link is below in my bio on my Shopify. So I do have those shirts available if you would like to go ahead and purchase one of those. All right, so y'all, as you know, hey Kevin. As many of you know, I was at the Solutionary Summit this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Let me tell y'all. First of all right, it was a very nice event. There were a lot of different people there. We got to talk about a lot of different things. It was this one event with, firearms training, and then we had panels about like economics and, you know, political party and community outreach and solutions and just all this stuff. So it was really good. I got to meet a lot of people that I have connected with while being a YouTuber through social media. So that was super duper cool. And I don't know if y'all remember this, okay? My real supporters are going to remember this. I told y'all this was like a few weeks ago. It was probably like a couple of months ago now. I told y'all, I said one day, I am going to interview Judge Joe Brown. And guess what I did this weekend? I interviewed Judge Joe Brown. So when I said that, I was just randomly talking to y'all. I think it was like on a Tuesday. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to interview him one day. And when I said that, I was just talking. I was just shooting the breeze. I mean, yes, I want to do it. But, I didn't have like a plan for how this was going to happen, when this was going to happen, where this was going to happen. I was just talking. And it happened. All right. So there's some good news there. However, the only thing about the interview, it is so raw and unfiltered that the full interview is only going to go on my Patreon. So that will be going up this week. So if you would like to support my content and everything that we've been doing recently, getting the message out and all of these other things, you can definitely become a member of my Patreon. Y'all know Judge Joe Brown does not hold his tongue, and he even more so did not hold his tongue during that interview. And as much as I like Judge Joe Brown, I ain't trying to get kicked off the internet. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do that. That's how we're gonna handle that. That will be uploaded to my Patreon this week. So again, like I said, if you want to see that interview while also supporting my content, the link is below. You can become a member of my Patreon. Special shout out to my VIP patrons, Michael Ray and Ray Ray. And let's see, I just recently got a new VIP patron. Thank you so much. Also to Alexander. So a special thank you to you all. But all right, so everybody is coming on into the room. I kind of got my church announcements and some of the good news out of the way. So hopefully everybody is doing well. COVID, for the most part, has seemed to have disappeared. Um, you know, from what I can tell, people haven't really been talking about it as much. I find it so funny. I always tell y'all, like, the media, it's like a freaking roller coaster. They're gonna go from one thing to another to another to another. It's like an emotional roller coaster. It's so funny to watch y'all every 4 years. They get y'all every single 4 years. They get y'all again talking about how, oh, let's get rid of the post office. Let's do away with the post office. And everybody talk about it for however many days. Y'all be so adamant about it. Oh, we're losing so much money with the post office. It's kind of like the Planned Parenthood conversation. You know what I mean? When they hype y'all up, y'all talking about it again. These organizations are never defunded. So whatever. Um, but yeah. Lamar said, I got my anti-sadist shirt last week. My girl loves it so much. She wants one too. Yes, Lamar, that means you need to get your girl one then, okay? We have them in black and white. Make sure y'all send me pictures too. Please send me pictures. But I'm so happy to hear that. So thank you for getting one of those. But all right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump right into tonight's topic. So first of all, I want to start by talking about, so it looks like this Black national anthem conversation has come back into play. I saw people talking about this on Twitter today, and I did, want to briefly address this because I mean, honestly, I think it's a little funny. But I'm not going to play the actual, well, I guess it could kind of play in the background. But so apparently on, what day was this? Was this like Sunday or something? Before the NFL game, Alicia Keys sung the rendition of "Lift Every Voice and Sing," also known as the National Black Anthem. Oh, I thought it said something about it on here. But anyway, so this was just showing like a little bit of it, and they were singing and kind of like this advertising, like social justice, like you know hodgepodge commercial type of thing they got going on. Hey Mark, hey Adronio, I think that's how I say that, Adronio. But so all this imagery, and all this. So I see people talking about it, people upset about it on Twitter. People are always peopling, right? Like, this is what they do. And so we already knew this time was coming. I think this story first appeared back in July, where people are talking about it, and I talked about my 2 cents. So first things first, right? For all the people that think this is just super dope and super amazing, and oh my God, I feel seen, right? The NFL sees me. They validate my blackness and all this other stuff. I want you to convince me that this is any different from Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats kneeling in kente cloth. It's no different. This is the equivalent to that. All right. It's another form of pandering. Instead of coming directly from politicians, we now have just an organization funding this and their sponsors and whoever else. All right, whether that's the Black Lives Matter movement directly, I don't know. I don't think it will work that way. The NFL is probably funneling money to Black Lives Matter. However, it's the same thing. Literally, same level of pandering. And so why people are so enthralled and inspired, I mean, I really just don't get it. Like, I can't relate, because what does it equal at the end of the day? Like, what do the pats on the back and like the whispering the sweet nothings in your ear, what does it count for? What does it prove? I guess I just don't understand it. And not only that, the even funnier part is that you have people, particularly white people that I see on Twitter, getting upset, talking about uh, uh, the national Black anthem isn't a real song. Hey, Mike Dunn. Hey, Sam. Hey, everybody coming into the room. August. Um, the national Black. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Michael's like, I have hot sauce. Vote for me. Like, literally, like, this is the equivalent to it's a pandering, right? But let me go back to my point about the people mad on Twitter about this and saying things like, oh, the national Black anthem is not real. Like, cause you said so. The funnier part about this is, instead of people actually talking about the real problem with this, they want to create these same people that think they're so smart. They will say, oh, fake news, this is not what this is really about. And you turn around and like fall into the same thing. These people think they're so bright. You're not that bright. Okay, let's start off with the fact that Lift Every Voice and Sing is an actual real song created in the 1800s to commemorate Abraham Lincoln, right? If you knew history, right? Oh, it's not Asian history and Black history and Mexican, Hispanic history, it's American history. Okay, this is history. We're going to talk about history today, right? So this song was written to commemorate Abraham Lincoln for his part in freeing the slaves. Not only that, this is a Christian song. Not only that, if you actually listen to the song, it's not nothing is traumatizing or particularly offensive about the actual song, right? And yes, at some point in time, it was nicknamed the National Black Anthem. The reason being, because when you would go to things like Black History Plays, when you would go to church events and things like this, you would have these Black congregations sing this song as routinely as the national anthem. So it would be sung so much, right, before all of these events, oftentimes along with the national anthem, that it just people just started, using this nickname, the national Black national anthem, right? So all these people that scream, oh, fake news, fake news, don't fall for fake news. So instead of attacking the fact that the real problem here is how you have corporations and politicians that continue to try to use Black culture and Black history as a I got you moment, as to cause friction, as to pander, right? Instead of talking about that, you just want to make it seem like it's non-existent and push actual culture to the background or overlook it. Actual American history. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So when I literally say This is equivalent. And it's funny because I was just talking about this at the Solutionary Summit. I was just talking about this, how oftentimes you have people that actually, on a surface level, agree on certain things, but you have so many people that either don't know how to talk to people, right? Or they fall so deeply into the narrative that it's abrasive. Don't tell me that a song that I've literally been singing, I like I this was back when I had the little barrettes in my hair. Y'all know the things like the black moms used to do. Y'all remember the little curly cute socks? And they'll put you in the white socks that came up a little past your ankle, and you flip them down like that with the little frills on them. They'll have you in the white socks with the black shoes. Y'all remember this era I'm talking about, okay? Like, do not tell me those memories don't exist. However, if we're going to sit here and talk about corporations, organizations, politicians, entertainers that think that they can adorn and dress themselves, right, in Black history, American history, Black culture, whatever you want to call it, whenever they can, just throw it on and off like it's some type of costume, okay? Using it to add fuel to this everything else they have going on or whatever they're trying to do. That's the problem here. Like, let's talk about the real problem. So yes, I actually have I'm it's predictable. At this point, it's predictable. I don't know why anybody would be mad about this. It's super predictable. I'm not mad about the NFL performing "Lift Every Voice and Sing." I think it's a beautiful song, but it's the fact that it's being politicized, right? And I have a problem with that, just like you politicizing kente cloth, just like you politicizing hot sauce, right? And all of these other things, and trying to tie these things or relate. It just becomes very annoying and over the top, and it just starts to look, it's just predictable. It's just very predictable. And so instead of people looking at this as another way, this is just another way, right? The NFL is trying to cloak itself in social justice. Instead of looking at it that way, people rather get mad at a song that existed well before you even knew about it. And just because you didn't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so, but yeah, so hey to everyone coming in the room. All right, so happy Tuesday to everybody just coming in. So we're not going to be here too long tonight. We're just going to talk about a couple of things, but I did just want to start talking about the national anthem, because here we are again, when y'all know like the plays that these organizations make, and like, you know, you know. But all right, y'all. So I posted something on Instagram the other day. Let me see if I can pull this up. This is a conversation. This is a conversation that people have been having lately. Okay, so I think y'all can see that picture. And my post says, okay, so I have mixed feelings on this and I want to know y'all thoughts. So for a few years ago, it's funny Because a few years ago, people were literally, actually, right, begging white people, please use your privilege, speak out, help end racism. Um, what was the other thing? I shouldn't have to educate you on something that I didn't have anything to do with. You should take the initiative to do this and to do that. I know y'all remember the talking points. Like let's be serious, okay? So now that this seems to be happening, all right, Exhibit A, you got people out here now like, where's the black people? Black Lives Matter has been hijacked by white people and etc. So why I say I have mixed feelings about this is because even me just mentioning the discussion just a few years ago, this wasn't a long time ago, this was just a few years ago. Y'all remember these talking points, right? But this is what I mean by, like, even where we are now and people are just so confused about what's going on, it's like, pick a position so people can understand what you want them to do, right? So now comes into question, is there a line where there's too much involvement, or is this an example of people being hypocrites, right? Because you wanted people to stand up, you wanted people to speak on your behalf, and now that it's happening, it's like, no, right? Do the demographics of an anti-racist movement matter, or is it about the message? Are these people using their privilege appropriately or not? So the funny thing is, right, regardless of the actions or the underlying theme of what Black Lives Matter is doing right now, if you have a lot of these people thinking that they are working or helping on the behalf of Black people and the Black community, aren't they somewhat like doing, or they could at least say or pretend that they're doing, right, what people ask for? Even if I come to your community and burn down your homes, your stores, if that's where the crime was and that's where people were being harmed, I'm helping you, right? This is why I always tell people that, like, y'all never hear me use the words like ally. Y'all never hear me asking for people to speak on my behalf, including entertainers or any other people. I always say that I speak for myself. And why I think it's important to speak for myself, because at the end of the day, if you are a good, freaking decent human being, that should be your biggest focus. Not pandering, not being some type of savior, not being some type of hero, not literally. Some of these people are literally speaking over people that lived through the freaking civil rights era. Like, y'all that woke? When you ask somebody to be and no, not even when you ask somebody to be an ally, literally when you ask somebody to use their privilege, what the heck, like, what do people think that mean when they say that? It literally means take the reign, because you've already basically said privilege, right, is a type of superiority. That's what it is. You have the privileged and the unprivileged. So if you ask a privileged person to speak for you, to speak on your behalf, that's what happens. They hijack, they stand in front of you. That's literally what it means for anybody with half a brain to have not seen this coming. How are people shocked by this all of a sudden? I do not understand. This is literally what y'all asked for. People have to be aware of what they are saying. People need to hear the voices directly straight from the community. This is my same argument about freaking entertainers and celebrities. To act like a LeBron James has the same concerns as me or my little brother is ridiculous. It makes no sense. My little brother doesn't have private security. So when you keep asking people, regardless of who they are, if they are not uh either within your community or some type of way share the same I don't even know the word I'm looking for, share the same concerns, you are asking them to step out in front of you, their voice be louder than yours, right? And speak on your behalf. So now what happens is that supposedly, you have a movement that's being gentrified, hijacked, supposedly, as if that wasn't the case from the very beginning. It was being hijacked, right? At least the original message and what this organization was supposed to be. And we have records very early on. I've often talked about Darren Seals and how I myself did so much research. This was several years ago, saving and see now like I'm smarter, you know. This was several years ago. I didn't even think like the book burning would be to that level. But we're talking about several videos that are gone, wiped clean. Um, and so I posted this. Uh, I posted this yesterday, and I just was randomly thinking about it, and then I ended up passing this story on the LA Times. White people have gentrified Black Lives Matter, and it's a problem, right? But the funny thing is, but then you show up with a sign that says white silence equals white consent. Like, so which one is it? What I'm trying to explain to people is that you can't have it both ways. You have to actually know what you're asking for. I say this every single time when people try to package stuff. See, people try to package stuff in these hashtags, right? I had to get on to people about believe all women. Because on the front end, just like with this, on the front end, people only think about the sound bites, the talking points, right? Believe all women. You're not even forward thinking to see how that could literally turn into modern day Emmett Tills. White silence equals white consent. Not even forward thinking enough to realize how they could turn into a gentrified organization. Like, Black Lives Matter was once shunned by the white establishment. You think? You probably mean like the corporations, right? Until they realized it was bread and butter. Until they realized they can put BLM on the backside of a shoe and sell it out in minutes. But now it's chic. And that's the problem. Y'all was praising Ben and Jerry's a couple years ago, right? For the slogans on the ice cream or the website or whatever they was doing. Which one is it? And this is one of my biggest problems. This is one of my biggest problems with like the overall idea of like progressiveness or whatever it means. I think I only loosely understand it. But nothing is consistent. Nothing makes sense. If something is said today, it literally could be full 180 like 2 years from now. It's whatever people are just feeling at the moment. BLM banners fly from homes in Silver Lake. Did you not ask people to validate you? Did you not say it? Say Black Lives Matter. Say their name, right? I just posted something on Instagram the other day. I just posted something. Wear their names jewelry made out of shattered glass from Charleston riot, right? You got the let's see if I can go back to it. Does it let me? I don't know how to. Oh, okay. Uh anyway, you got all these different names, right? They got the George Floyd bracelet and the Tamir Rice earrings and all these different things, right? Institutions, including Uber, Airbnb, and the National Football League, have embraced Black Lives Matter. Yes, the same NFL that shunned Colin Kaepernick 4 years ago for kneeling in the protest of police brutality now issues culture and racism in their end zones. This jolt of white solidarity is not imaginary. According to a June poll from Monmouth University, 49% of white Americans now say police are more likely to use excessive force against a black culprit in 2016. That figure was 25%, but it will last. So this is a pretty lengthy article, and it goes on to basically just talk about how now this is overshadowing grassroots efforts. You didn't think people like LeBron James, you don't think when these people come in and speak, it is going to overshadow grassroots efforts? You don't think when a person like Ice Cube or Cardi B can sit down with presidential candidates, you don't think that's going to overshadow grassroots efforts? You don't think that's asking somebody that lives across the bridge, across the river, in the suburbs, whatever you want to call it, coming into your neighborhood, you're being angry, you're letting them burn it down, and they can't even directly speak to what goes on there. You don't think that's going to overshadow grassroots efforts? Most of what needs to change happens in a civic setting, often void of TV cameras. It's going to take drastic changes in policy and laws. It will also require everyone's attention. Okay, you got everybody attention now. Now what? I've been asking people these same questions for what, like 3 years? Like how long I've been on YouTube? 3 years, 4 years now? When I made a video, even before Jay-Z said it and made it cool, and people were mad at Jay-Z, and I kind of get it, right? Because Jay-Z more said it from a Jay-Z is kind of like, I feel like Jay-Z was doing it from a whole a capitalist standpoint. But I was saying it before it was cool. I was saying it when people were still getting the backlash of what's next. You got everybody's attention. You've got everybody's attention. What's next? So the funny part about it is this goes right back to the Black National Anthem being sung at the NFL games. This goes right back to politicians kneeling in kente cloth. This goes right back to writing uh, 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 this goes right back to writing Black Lives Matter court side. I literally asked people, I think 4 years ago now, I said, what's next? People were mad because I said that. And literally, here we are, some of y'all still stuck on this emotional roller coaster. I said, if you did not say what you wanted, say it directly, and say what you meant, the media was going to hijack it and switch the subject. And here we are. This is what happens when you are not forward thinking and you just say whatever cool at the time and you do not focus on principles. One thing about principles don't change, right? Principles are solidified. Principles don't change with the hashtags. So if you actually believe in the freedom of speech, right? The freedom to be judged by your peers. Something like believe all women is not going to be catchy to you because you believe in letting somebody go through the process the entire time. It's not going to waver depending on what's trendy or what Kanye West or somebody decided to tweet today. And so, if people want to continue to stay on these emotional roller coasters, it's so funny because people I've learned will be more upset with me because I don't react emotionally to these things. I don't when somebody makes a movie about a black mermaid, I don't cry or say, oh my god, like this is the best thing to happen since the civil rights movement and things like this. I don't think I never thought LeBron's and the basketball teams, the NBA's little walkouts. I never thought this was going to be like the second coming of the Montgomery bus boycott. And people get frustrated with me. Why are you getting frustrated with me? And the crazy part about it is I'm solidified in time. All of my thoughts are on record. Clear as day. And when I tell y'all, when it's something that I come back and I be like, I gotta rethink this. I was a little off. My hypothesis was a little off. Right? But like, don't be frustrated with me. I'm sorry I can't. I'm the type of person, even in my friendships, relationships, whatever, right? I'm the type of person, I want a solution so we can move on. I don't like going through the same thing over and over again. I don't like replaying stuff. I don't like roller coasters. It's just not my vibe. It's not my energy. So if I've been talking about something for 4 years, I'm not going to talk about it for another 4. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to feel the same exact way I did 4 years ago. And some people are coming into these similar problems with the same attitude. And that's what happens when you don't actually focus on real-time solutions. So if you aren't talking about policy, you aren't talking about nothing. If you aren't talking about policy, you're probably talking about pandering, which means nothing. And it's funny because the fact that the LA Times is coming out with an article saying that Black Lives Matter has been gentrified by white people is so funny because this is basically a mirror, right? It's basically a mirror of the NFL. It's basically a mirror of the NFL doing this national black anthem, right? It's just more empty gestures. It's just more empty gestures. So, but people that want to stay on this emotional roller coaster, people that are still, you know, on this hope and change. This is why I always talk about what is on black and white, what is inked on paper, being the most important thing. That is more important than a hashtag. That is more important than a pat on the back. That is more important than affirming that you matter. I don't care because some random person thinks I don't matter. And even them telling me I matter, right? Like let's say, okay, cool. So let's say in the event somebody tells me, "Oh, your life matters." Thank you. What would I have ever done without you telling me that? I don't think, you know, I almost wasn't gonna wake up tomorrow, but you saying that, and now I think I will. Um, you know. So thank you for that. Like I just uh, and then okay, let me get a little sexist here. It's whatever. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. It's it's even worse when it's like a man. I don't care. I'm just gonna say it. It is what it is, right? Like women by nature, oftentimes we tend to not always be, more emotional. We feel we're nurturers, so I can give women a little bit more credit for wanting to be affirmed, right? Because you have more women, and this has been proven, right? This has been proven. You have more women that we are the biggest shoppers. We buy, right? And usually how they sell to us is emotionally. They pull on our heartstrings. They try to connect us to something. So I can give, women, I don't know why, but want to be affirmed, right? You want to fit into this standard of beauty. That's what they call it, standard of beauty. So that means that some random person. This means that some random person that you ain't never met your day in your life has to find you beautiful. And so I'll cut a little bit more slack to women, but men, like, needing to be affirmed by just other people to that extent, out beyond like your direct family and friends and community, it's just a little weird to me. I think, I wonder will Helena remember this, but I was so sickened. I wanted to throw up. I don't think I've ever been so shocked in my life, but Helena helped me remember this. But it was something on Twitter. It was some type of story that came out that, it was the Epstein thing. It was the Epstein thing. And it was a story that came out and said that they were only trafficking, or they were only picking like young white women escorts. Do you know? See, this is, man, I don't know what these people be doing to y'all mind. I don't know what the media be doing to y'all mind. I don't know what's missing in you, that I don't, it's like maybe like a puzzle piece missing, that people just need outward validation. It's stupid, like creepy. But you had girls on Twitter literally saying how, like, basically saying how it was racist, like black women aren't even good enough to be wanted for human trafficking. Really, is that the hill you want to die on? Really? Whew. It's just some weird, man. Ooh, some, I don't know, man. We gotta spread more love. Like, y'all gotta love on y'all kids. Love on your kids. Tell them they're important. Like, hug them. Tell them you're proud of them. be like, I don't want to just say their friend, but be a positive influence. Let them know that they're cared for. So these people, I don't know if it's mental illness. I don't know if it's depression. I don't know if it is, I don't know what it is, but the unwavering levels of validation that so many people out here need. I've never seen anything like this ever. I don't know if social media has even more so brought that out of people. I don't know if it's because we're in an era where it's people are kind of losing their connections as far as maybe like to church and community and stuff like that. People are more so in their own bubbles and doing their own thing. I don't know exactly what is the cause of this, but it is leading to some crazy things when people just need so much outward validation, man. I don't know. It's weird. Helena was like, "Yep." I was like, "What? Y'all are mad black girls weren't being trafficked?" Like, yes, that is crazy. It was a couple of girls saying that. I was like, shocked. I thought like this is a parody. They're trying to be funny. No, they felt like almost like left out. Like you don't feel beautiful enough for a pimp, a human trafficker, a actually evil person. You want to be appealing and validated by them. Something missing, man. Something missing. And we cannot have these women out here. We cannot have these women out here like that. Whew, Lord, pray for them, pray for them, pray for them. All right, y'all. Let's talk about this. Breonna Taylor, $12 million settlement before I hop off here. All right, so let's take a look at this article according to ABC News. $12 million settlement reached in fatal Kentucky police shooting of Breonna Taylor. The city of Louisville, Kentucky has reached a record $12 million settlement with the family of Breonna Taylor, the emergency medical technician shot to death in her own home by police serving a no-knock warrant. The settlement was announced by city officials and Taylor's family on Tuesday afternoon and includes a major police reform package. Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher began a news conference by saying Taylor's death 186 days ago ignited a movement in Louisville and the nation for racial justice. Speaking directly to Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, I cannot begin to imagine Miss Palmer's pain, and I'm deeply sorry for Breonna's death. Fisher said that in addition to the monetary settlement, the largest in a police use of force case in Louisville history, the city will implement a series of police department reforms to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. Among the reforms will be building stronger connections between police and the communities they serve by establishing a housing credit program to incentivize officers to live in certain low income census tracts in the city. That better be a heck of a incentive, right? Because the way things are looking and going right now, and with all the friction, like for example, knowing this happened to Breonna Taylor and knowing you don't even have to be the police officer that had anything directly to do with it, and thinking that people are just going to move willy-nilly into these neighborhoods, I just don't see how at this very moment, until it's a lot of that friction and chaos that dies down, I just don't see how that makes any sense. But for the future, I do think that could be an okay idea. Officers will also be organized to volunteer 2 hours every 2 week pay period in the communities they serve. The mayor said a program will be established to include social workers so they can provide assistance on certain police runs where the presence can be helpful. He said the reforms also call for more transparency and accountability for police officers, including a overhaul of how search warrants are obtained. So the interesting thing about the uh the interesting thing, I'm still trying to figure out like how this social worker thing will work. Uh because even with the social worker, people are not realizing that there are still going to have to be safety precautions and a whole lot of measures, right, in place. For example, let's say you're going into a situation that could possibly turn maybe violent. I would imagine the officer is still, or even if that officer perceives it to be violent, I would still imagine the officer has first pull on what calls are going to will be made once that situation turns violent. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what the plan is for the social workers and things like that. But I'm the type of person, and this is just because I carry anyway. But I'm not going I'm not going nowhere into no situation or altercation on a call, and I'm not armed. So that's just me. I even think unarmed security guards, I just think that's stupid. I just think that's a stupid idea because in the event, and I know, I'm glad we're talking about this because there was literally a situation that happened where there was this domestic violence. Okay. There was this domestic violence altercation, and a security guard, I think this guy followed his girl he was dating to her job. A security guard saw it and tried to intervene, and he shot the girl and the security guard. I'm not walking nobody's property. What, how, and don't get me wrong, okay, yeah, equip them with other non-lethal things too. However, just me, like, no, I'm not about to do that. I don't know what security guards sign or what they agree to, but I just do not see how that makes sense to be potentially putting yourself in dangerous situation. Don't have the means to defend yourself. But anyway, so $12 million settlement, and guess who that money comes from? Jupiter Black said, LOL, didn't you see the shooting Justify in PA where the cop had to shoot the guy with the knife? I saw still images of it. I haven't seen the video yet. But so, and this is why, one of the reasons why I talk about training, personal protection training being so important, because not only do you learn the things that the police officers are actually looking for to know if there's a threat or not, but you can also see other situations where somebody may have reacted, right? How they reacted. And I can always tell when somebody isn't educated on these issues. And this is why I talk about education being so important, because even when somebody says, well, why didn't they just shoot him in the legs? Nobody that's ever been trained or gone to a gun range has said, why didn't they shoot them in the legs? You would know automatically because you've been educated on why techniques like that don't work. And so, believe it or not, I actually think people being trained in self-protection will not only be beneficial for everyday people, even with dealing with police officers, but will be more beneficial for police officers and how we deal with them, right? But all right, so you got taxpayers about to pay $12 million, a $12 million settlement. I just talked about this. I think I talked about this on Hank Strange show maybe like last week or 2 weeks ago. Okay. In 2018, more than 85 million. This is according to Washington Examiner. 85 million in taxpayer money went towards settling police misconduct lawsuits, along with an additional 28 million to outside defense attorneys. Okay. Not only is that a tremendous waste of resources, the lack of consequences for violating our rights means there is no incentive for police to reform from within. So this is why we start to look at things like qualified immunity and things like this. And so this is why I have talked about they have politicized police brutality so freaking much to the point where people just want to pick a side, regardless of when it doesn't make sense, how it impedes what could be beneficial for everyone involved, right? And one of the main things is the fact that this is coming out of taxpayer money. This is coming out of taxpayer money. We're looking at states or cities, I should say, cities that are continually failing in debt and then become a burden to their state and become a burden federally. This is an issue. It's an issue. Not only that, y'all will sit here, people will sit here and slam these mayors and these governors to filth. Slam them. They're so bad. This city is run horribly. This, that, and the other. However, the police department is a direct extension of the mayor, of the governor. Why is it so hard for people to say that? Why is it so hard for people to say that? Most likely, where you have the most corrupt mayors and the most corrupt governors is where you have the most corrupt police. And so instead of trying to fix some of these issues and just get them out of the way so we don't have to stay on this freaking emotional roller coaster, so we don't have to talk, you're going to be, I don't know. In 4 years, I may be off the grid somewhere, in my beach chair, in my backyard, eating papaya, okay? Sipping mimosas behind my gated property. I am doing everything to get away from the madness, the craziness, the emotional roller coasters. We have shown, due to freaking research, time and time again, it is these cities, inner cities, where so much freaking corruption happens. All right. Somebody in the chat mentioned when I was talking about these social workers, right? How a lot of this stuff is a money grab. They're going to pretend to funnel money into these, oh, we'll just test out this little program, you know. Where's all this money going? This is a burden. And not only this, tons of things, right? when it's very simple things we could do that would be beneficial for everyone. Today I was talking about, I asked on Twitter and on Instagram, I said, which one do y'all think would be better, legalizing or decriminalizing cannabis, right? I could see how they both would have their pros and cons to whichever one, you feel would be better. But even something so simple as that being one less, and that one really turning into millions, right? But you have millions of people having those interactions that don't necessarily have to happen. Particularly if I am growing a plant in my garden and doing what I do in my house. Um, but I see people saying police unions need to be abolished. That should be step number one. Honestly, you have unions that I'm I'm I am still like learning and forming my opinions on the unions. And I want to be consistent and genuine as possible. I 100% see how unions protect bad apples, right? We could be talking about teaching. We can be talking about the unions for the post office. We can be talking about the unions for manufacturing companies. We can be talking about the union for police officers. Um, and I absolutely do believe that you have unions that protect bad people. However, I've also seen how some companies, I've seen this personally and up close, how some companies can be so trifling that the union was the only thing able to help that worker. And so I think that when it comes to things like qualified immunity, when it comes to things like abolishing unions, right? We want to be consistent. We want to be authentic, regardless of kind of where you fall on the spectrum. You may think we should abolish them, and I'm still kind of fleshing out some things here, but I think there are some very simple things we could do, right? Well, before we get to that can be done to help de-escalate these situations and help some of these interactions not even happen in the first place. I asked people, I don't know if I told y'all this story, but this was probably like a couple weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago. I asked people a question on Twitter, and it was kind of a trick question. And I don't think people really picked up on the fact that it was a trick question. But I said name the 3 people in Congress that actually care about the entire full Constitution, not just bits and pieces. Name the 3 people, right? So people started naming people. And I'm not gonna tell y'all who some of those names are. I'm sure y'all know who they are. They're about 4 to 5 names that were in rotation. But the fact that nobody caught on to that is an absolute travesty when you have hundreds of Congress members and we're not talking about every single one of them standing up for the federal national law of the land. How is that okay? And people just going on with their lives like it's all good. When we have states that are not upholding privacy issues, privacy rights, when we have states that are not upholding property rights, when we have states that are not upholding gun rights, what the heck is that? How can any state legally trump the Constitution? What is the basis for avoiding police brutality or government overreach, because that's what it is, what's the basis, or how do you even have the potential to avoid that when people aren't even upholding the law of the land? Like, come on, y'all. Like, let's be serious. Let's be serious here. And then I made a comment the other week, and I said, because somebody was getting on to me saying, you sound anti-immigrant. You sound anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant. I have several friends that are immigrants. My freaking uncle, okay, is an immigrant from Jamaica. I sound like that. I have a black friend. No, I'm just kidding. And you're anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-illegal immigration. And my response was, how do you expect me to actively advocate for illegal immigrants when you literally have black people still being denied their constitutional rights? So the tweet did well. A lot of people was agreeing with it. I got a lot of comments. And then you always gonna have those few stragglers that come in, right? Because they're so, I don't know if they're oblivious. I don't know if they're contrarian. I don't know what they are, right? What rights? What constitutional rights? What constitutional rights are black people being denied? What you mean when I just asked y'all? I literally just asked y'all to name Congress people that actually believe in the full Constitution, and people could only name 3. And how you only got 3 people you can name, 3 to 5 people that actually believe in the Constitution as it's stated? But now, a couple of days later, you want to pretend, you want to turn around and act like you don't know what I'm talking about. So if it's an infringement on privacy, right? That's where the no knock warrant things come in. If it's a infringement on asset forfeiture, we have people who have not been convicted, who do not get their property back. If it is a issue of gun control, when you have people that do not have their gun rights, what issues do y'all think those are? When you have people who are sitting in jail with no initial court date in sight, what issue do you think that is when a person has a bail that is absolutely ridiculous? What type of issue is that? Where do y'all think these things are written? It's not my fault that you only care about the first and the second. I'm not you. Some people only care about the first and the second, and you want to turn a blind eye to everything else. I'm not you. So don't tell me that constitutional rights are not being denied. And I say, okay, cool. Well, name every single one of your congressmen that are actually standing up for all of them, and you can't even name people. Y'all need to remember, y'all not talking to a little Black Lives Matter person. You're not talking to a little a woke college kid. I read. I study. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. So don't be mad when I say it. I say the same thing that all these other. See, I'm about to. I got Hey Y'all mugs on my Teespring. Link in my bio. Oh man. I'm more freedom. I'm more freedom than the freaking Freedom Party. I bet that ain't what the TV told you. I'm never represented. This right here, this shell is not what that looks like on TV, right? People expect me to talk about what? Marxism, communism. You think I'm asking for more that's already inked on paper? Already inked on paper. Just apply it. You can't handle me like you handle other people. You cannot, right? So yeah, I ain't gonna go too far into that, but so when you have these infringements and people try to talk them away or look the other way, it's a problem for everybody, every single person involved. And I promise you, it has not come to your front door yet, but it will. It will. And this is why I talk about principles. Principles are solidified. You should, if you believe in something and you stand for something, you stand for it, you care about it, doesn't matter the neighborhood it's happening in. Because, like I said again, if it's not happening to you now, it is going to come to your front door. It is coming. You had a lot of these people, right? Even I think about just how black men thinking they're going to be unscathed from the whole all these new progressive movements, the Me Too and the Believe All Women, because of how they initially started out. What's the other thing? It's something else too that I'm forgetting. No, they coming for you too. And look how that ended up. So this is why I say be aware. This goes right back to white people gentrifying Black Lives Matter. Be aware of what you're saying. Be aware of what you're asking for. Be aware of the things that you are willing to overlook because it's not happening directly to you today. So, but I think I will end on that note, y'all. Again, like I said, if people are not paying attention to what you're saying, what you're standing up for, what your principles are, what you are overlooking, you will be here again. We'll be having this same conversation 4 years from now, and I'll be the one that'll be able to say, roll the tapes. I tried to tell you. I tried to talk about the things that actually matter. Um, so yeah. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank y'all for rocking with me every Tuesday. A special thank you to my patrons and my VIP patrons, Michael Ray, and Alexander. Thank y'all so much. I know y'all have been seeing some of the awesome things that I've been doing recently. I have on a headset tonight, but I also just got a new mic. So hopefully my sound is going to be improving here. I want to do some more kind of just quality content for you guys and kind of working my way up to that. So if you would like to become a member of my Patreon, that link is also below in my description box, and Helena J has also been dropping it throughout this. Also, don't forget you can get your anti-status or entertainers are not leaders t-shirts. Judge Joe Brown just got his entertainers are not leaders t-shirt, so that is in the mail. I'm super excited about that. But all right, y'all have a good night.